So let me share my screen and I'm going to show you guys, do a quick demonstration. So I need a little bit of interaction, hopefully more than just one person, but I require at least one person to help out. What's up, Honest Money? All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see this. Entire screen, screen 2, share. And hopefully that's shared. If not, let me know and I will just send them in the chat. Discord's really messing with me lately. So is that sharing? Probably not. Probably not. Love to mess with me. I don't know why my Discord's broken. So what I'm going to do is send these pictures to the group and we'll walk through them that way. My YouTube will suffer a little bit from that, but all is well. So let me send this out. What's up, Honest Money, Hardy? My video cuts out randomly. No, it needs to be, no worries, Evan. So this is the first image I want you guys to look at. So can at least one person, hopefully multiple people, describe what they see. Describe everything they see, just in short, maybe 5 characteristics, potentially, young woman, curly hair, necklace, whatever it might be, lady in a bonnet. Yep. So just talk me through it. And if you don't have the opportunity to type right now, just take a look at that and describe it to yourself where you're at. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to do that. You typically, for me, I see a young lady probably in her 20s or so with a necklace on, a pointy nose, curly hair, and a bonnet. Got a big, I forget what those are called, the jackets with the fluff around it. But all right, so everybody's aware, everybody's looking at that. So I'm going to share another image with you guys here right now. Unfortunately, I can't share my screen, but let me know what you see here. And again, if you can't type, it's okay. Just look at the image. It's really important for this lesson that you guys have a good example of what paradigms are. So go ahead and take a look at that image. And then please, one more time, if you guys are willing, describe to me what you guys are seeing. You potentially, here we got an old lady there, one of those flapper ladies. It's witch nose from the 60s, lady in a fur jacket. Young lady or old lady? What do you see? Beautiful young lady turned sideways, looking away from you. All right, so we're getting a couple different answers here. Elegant, Italian grandma, a few different things here. So it's interesting to see the different ideas of what we see. A young defined jaw. Thank you, Patrick. So let me send one more image to you guys and let me know what you see here. So we got a couple different answers there. In this one, I can actually send all 3 of them at the same time now, so you can kind of view them very close to each other. So when you look at those 3 different images, you can see in the most recent one, or the last one that I sent, typically you would see an older lady, a really wide nose, a dropped chin, where her necklace is now her mouth opening, and then you look back at that middle image that I sent. If you look back at the lady with the feather in her hair, you can now probably see, for those of you who thought that it's a young lady, and now you can see the old lady in it after looking at the last image. It's really interesting how we're able to see an objective fact, something that is true of the world, like lines in an image, that makes perfect sense to us, and that's all we could see. This would work better in a classroom. A lot of times what this experiment does is we take that young lady image and we pass that to one side of the class, and then we pass the old lady image to the other side of the class, and then we show that middle image, the one where you can see both, and we put that up in the middle, and we ask people from either side to describe what they see. And oftentimes you see absolutely, people who will die on the hill saying that this is an old lady. On the other side, you'll see this is a young lady. And then after some communication and some time, you're able to see both. And but what we're looking at is an objective truth of the universe. These are lines on the paper that don't change. What changes is our perception of what we're looking at. So it's really interested. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's what I'm reading right now. And that's where I got this lesson from. It is so interesting how we grew up, how we learned, the experiences that we've had shape how we view reality, our paradigms. So we'll jump into the lesson, but I think that's important for you guys to understand as we move into this lesson, having a good example of seeing objective reality, but how each of us can see it in a different way. So as we move into this lesson, keep that in the back of your mind. It's a very interesting topic. So let's jump into it. It should only be about 10-15 minutes. So I titled this lesson, The Power of Paradigms, Understanding Perception and Behavior. So what are paradigms? Paradigms are mental maps or frameworks that shape how we see the world and interpret information. So essentially the lens that we see the world. And for example, we have, those images that I just showed you of the old lady and the young lady and the morphed image of the two. So recognizing that our paradigms may be incomplete or biased helps us approach situations with greater openness. And that's the goal of this lesson here, is for us to leave this understanding or having a bit more understanding about how others may view the world, even though we're looking at the same data, the same reality. We just see it differently. So how do paradigms influence behavior, our behavior? So our actions and reactions are guided by our perception of reality rather than reality itself. The same way that I might look at a trading account or a risk management plan, and you might look at the same risk management plan, but we would have wildly different views about how to approach that situation, or if it's a good risk management plan. And though it's objective reality, it's, your max lot is this is your typical stop loss, you're looking at this risk to reward ratio, your experiences in the stock market are going to shape how you actually view that risk management plan. And that's what I want you guys to kind of shift your paradigm, shift your mindset into looking at the information that's in front of you with openness and with an idea that you may be incomplete in what you're looking at. So, and I am as well, of course. And so when we move through this stuff, just keep that in the back of your head, especially when it comes to this risk management stuff, how we handle money. It's really, really interesting how our perception of it will shift how we act and react to it. So moving forward, we talked about how our actions and reactions are guided by our own perception of reality rather than reality itself. So, for example, a paradigm shift in viewing others positively can enhance relationships and problem solving. If you move into a relationship, or let's take a past relationship where you've had struggle with this person in the past, if you were to look at their actions, but now have a deeper understanding of why they're doing what they're doing, you may have a totally different outlook on that relationship and on that person. From that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the example that was given for this idea was a gentleman with 2 kids came into the subway station, and the 2 kids were absolutely wild. They were running around, bothering people, and the gentleman sat down next to another man. And after a couple minutes of these kids running around and this gentleman not doing anything about it, the man sitting next to him asked him, "Hey, do you think you could do something about your kids are, running amok and, being pretty rowdy?" And the man next to him says, "You know what, you're right. I apologize. Their mom and my wife just died an hour ago, and I don't think they know how to handle it." And as soon as he says that, your entire paradigm opens up, and you're able to see that person in a different light. And all of a sudden, these kids don't bother you anymore because of your deeper understanding of what's going on. So your paradigm can shift in a small way, or it can completely disrupt the foundation of how you view things. On the spiritual side of things, some people may never have an ethereal or spiritual, whatever you want to call it, encounter in their life. And then all of a sudden, at 50 years old, they see something that they are unable to explain, that modern science cannot explain, and their entire foundation is shifted. And if you are so rigid that you are unwilling to accept a change in your paradigm, it can be detrimental mentally and leading to physically, emotionally, spiritually. So with everything in life, just know in the back of your head that things may not be as they appear, and leave openness in your heart for those situations. The same way like that kid had, or that dad had, his wife pass away. And all of a sudden these kids aren't bothering me anymore. All I want to do is give them a hug and give them something to play with instead of being annoyed by their actions. So really interesting stuff when we talk about objective realities or objective truths, but we just see them so differently than each other. So I encourage you guys to reflect on a recent misunderstanding and consider how your paradigm influenced your interpretation of that event. And typically you'll see that with people because, of course, dealing with people is some of the most complicated and sometimes tiresome experiences we could have. And when you look at those interactions that you've had with people, if you had context behind why they're doing what they're doing, you had empathy, you had sympathy for what they were doing, it might be a totally different reaction and a total different relationship that forms from that. So that's my encouragement to you guys. So our last little segment here is shifting paradigms for personal growth. So the role of paradigm shifts. A paradigm shift occurs when we experience a fundamental change in perspective, just like that understanding that this person's wife and the kid's mother just died. So, for example, seeing the young lady after initially perceiving the old lady demonstrates how shifting perspectives can alter our understanding, or vice versa. So challenge assumptions by seeking out alternative viewpoints in difficult situations. And truly, a lot of this comes back to politics is a really, really good example. We can be presented with the same statistics of whatever it might be, and someone raised in one background might believe something completely different from my understanding. And instead of going head to head and saying, no, you're wrong, I'm right, we know that we're looking at potentially an objective fact of the universe. And what we have to do is be open and seek understanding moving into these relationships. And again, it can apply to the same way that you view money, the same way that you trade, taking a step back, leaving room for growth, leaving room for deeper understanding of what's going on, especially when we look at how you trade. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Ask yourself these questions. Is it because I want to support my family? And if that's the case, how much pressure are you putting on yourself to move the gauge in the right direction? And if you try to advance your progress too quickly, you're just going to run into more and more issues, potentially leaving you in a worse spot than you were when you first started trading. So I just want you guys to take a step back, take a deep breath, understand why you're doing the things you're doing, and ask yourself, is there a better way I could be doing this stuff? How can I shift my paradigm? Or at least how can I open my heart for the potential of a paradigm shift? So our last point here, tools to challenge and change paradigms. So this is so good for everyone, but practice staying present and questioning automatic thoughts to identify biases. If you guys have joined my psychology classes before, we've talked about cognitive behavioral therapy and ANTS, automatic negative thought patterns, and how they're typically led by past traumatic experiences or bad habits that stack on top of each other. For example, if you come home and your spouse had not taken out the trash yet, and your immediate thought is this person neglects me, doesn't care about the things I ask, whatever might be the automatic negative thought pattern. But you may not understand, you just walked in the door, that may be our automatic thought, but your spouse may have just had a really, really bad day, or they got a bad phone call, a family member died, or whatever it might be. So it's really dangerous to have these automatic thought patterns without leaving room in your heart for change. And so when we walk into these situations that can be extremely difficult in life, when we know they happen all the time, they're typically curveballs that we do not see coming, just understand that, something as little as forcing a smile onto your face can make a difference, and leaving room for that change is really something that makes all the difference when, we're going through something hard. So stepping in again, tools for challenging and changing paradigms. Stepping into someone else's shoes allows you to see their perspective and just your own. Again, I go back to politics when we talk about this stuff. Why is it that we see, I shouldn't say we, but as a generalization, America's pretty split into two demographics as far as political parties, and it's always you're wrong, I'm right. And the other side is saying you're wrong, I'm right, when we may be looking at the same facts, the same objective reality. So what we should be doing, we ought to be doing, if we want to progress in a healthy way, is seeking understanding and true dialogue and discord. That's what we have to strive for. So our last little point here, again, I bring it back to journaling almost all the time. Writing about your daily experiences can uncover recurring paradigms that shape your thinking. Just asking yourself why you do the things you do, bringing your subconscious motivators to a conscious level right in front of your face. You're writing it down. These are the things that are happening in my life. These are the automatic thoughts that I've had about this person, or I've had about this experience. Why? Take a step back, take a breath. Why did I just automatically assume this thing of this person? It's a dangerous place to be. And again, I just want to, touch quickly. I know you guys know me pretty well at this point, but I'm not speaking from a pedestal here. That's a daily choice. It's really hard to challenge those those automatic thought patterns. They come, and then you kind of run with it. You make a truth about someone or something, and in all reality, their motivations may be so separate from the truth that you ran with, the truth in your own mind, not the objective reality of what's going on. So it's a dangerous place to be, to not challenge those automatic thoughts. And I just encourage you guys that, when you move into these situations, I shouldn't say these situations, any situation in life, just leave room for, knowing that you don't know it all. I love Anthony Kiedis' lyrics from Red Hot Chili Peppers, "The more I see, the less I know." Holy crap, does that resonate with me? But I leave you guys with this. Understanding paradigms and how they shape our perception is critical for personal growth and improved relationships. By recognizing and shifting these mental maps, you can broaden your perspective, embrace new opportunities, and navigate life's challenges with clarity and empathy. And that last sentence there, navigate life's challenges with clarity and empathy. It's not always going to be clear, but you can find more clarity in these situations when you open up your heart and your mind to a shift in paradigms. But what we can do almost all the time is move into these situations that life throws at us with empathy for other people and for yourself. Give yourself a break too. So let me see what we got here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this lesson, but that's all I got for you as far as the curriculum today. But hopefully, maybe one person gained a little something out of this. I thought it was so interesting when I was reading through this stuff, and I had never seen this example before of the old lady and the young lady, and I just thought it was so cool, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Oh boy, it's so interesting that stances can be so much a part of people's identity that awareness and potential mind shifts can be so unsettling, even scary. Yeah, I mean, and truly not being open to that paradigm. And I'm a spiritual person, flat out, to be frank with you guys. But if your heart and your mind, your paradigm are so rigid that when something that you cannot explain happens in your life, it can be a potentially dangerous place for you mentally and emotionally. So even if it's just a little bit, crack that window open that door just a little bit of your heart and mind to know that I don't know everything. Things may really be different than they may appear to me. And I ought to seek understanding and dialogue with people and experiences rather than, saying you're wrong, I'm right. That's what I got, folks. What do we got? Comments, questions, concerns? Yeah, absolutely. AZ. I always love these calls when I can join and get the spiritual and mental food. Yeah, I love it. Where does Paul say? No, it might be Peter. I forget that. Instead of drinking the milk, we ought to be eating the whole foods. We need to be diving into some deeper stuff in life. Need to remind us often. Yeah, I mean, it's important. And again, of course, I'm not speaking from a pedestal here. I mean, this stuff, just like anything in life, just like being sober, if you used to be an addict or an alcoholic, whatever it might be, or maybe a gambling addict, whatever it might be in your life, it's not, one choice that you've made and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm no longer going to drink again. It's the daily decisions. It's the really hard daily decisions that, we have to go through to become a better person. The same thing when we talk about these paradigms. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm open to everything. No, it's not how it works. It's a daily choice to say, I wonder how I can look at this situation differently. How can I approach this relationship differently that can be positive for everybody involved in the situation? And those daily choices, that's the stuff of life. That's how you truly do become a better person and, a productive member of your society and your community, and where people really, really value their relationship with you. And that's what we all ought to be striving for, is just leaving this place and better than how we found it. And, those daily hard choices that's how we get there. And I just encourage you guys, and me saying that, to encourage myself to make those hard choices and make the right choices every single day. Can you talk a bit how you implement this into your trading? Just basically be open on both sides and get some real confirmation before entering. When I was making this lesson, I always try to tie this stuff back into trading, though it was more about relationships and how we move forward. I talked about briefly how your experiences have shaped how you trade. And I often see the best traders are always the people, they're typically older, which typically means they've had a bit more experience with how to manage money. They've have a bigger bank account. They don't really necessarily put themselves in the position to need this money, and they're able to much better navigate their risk management plan and stay disciplined because, whatever it might be for them, they know that, long-term gains is what they're looking for. They're not looking for a quick buck. Rather than, I typically see a lot more mistakes in the younger crowds, people who have not had much experience dealing with money and potentially putting too much weight on their shoulders about supporting their family or trying to put their family in a better position, to where they shorten the timeline of how long this skill set really takes to develop. And they really try to push. They try to pass these accounts in 4 weeks. And for me saying 4 weeks, some of you may be like, oh, geez, I try to pass accounts in a week. That's what I'm saying. If you're not consistent right now, you need to broaden that time frame. The same way that a doctor takes anywhere from 6 years after high school to 12 years after high school of schooling to really have a deep understanding of what they're trained to do. And the same thing on a lawyer side of thing. A couple more years after your 4-year bachelor's. This stuff takes time to develop, just like any skill in life. And I just want you guys to, broaden that perspective, broaden that time frame, instead of trying to pass these accounts so quickly. And then all of a sudden you get to your funded account and the pressure's on, and you're like, I kind of didn't develop any good habits. I kind of just got here because I made some good trades. Don't kid yourself, folks. This stuff takes time. This stuff really takes a deep understanding and a development of discipline. Probably more than anything, it's discipline. It's what we ought to be striving for. So, shift that paradigm. Open this stuff up. Understand that this is a skill set like any other that's going to take some time. It's going to That's it. It's going to take time, folks. And so just give yourself that leeway, give yourself that lenience to really open up and say, all right, I'm going to, instead of trying to pass an account in 1 to 2 weeks, I'm going to take 1 to 2 months. And, once you get to that place where you're at a discipline, you're able to move forward with discipline in your daily choices, in your decisions, every single trade, you are disciplined in that. That's what makes a good trader. That's what you can really see. You can look back and say, you know what, like that did take a lot of time and I was just rushing it and I shouldn't have been. And, this is where I found success. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. It's so helpful to have a holistic approach to trading. Sometimes the over compartmentalizing is not healthy or sustainable. Appreciate this space. I appreciate you, Lamai. I think over compartmentalizing is something that I had to get over. As a child, I loved to put everything in a box. This is here, this is here, this is here. Church is over here, relationships are over here, finances over here. But we're one person, we're one life. Our mind, body, and soul are all one. It's inseparable. You cannot break those apart. And moving forward with that headspace, like you pointed out, has just helped me a ton, and I encourage you guys to as well. Thank you, Lamai. Speaking my truth right now, I believe it. I've been trying to rush at points, but it only puts me further back. I mean, yeah, I think all of us can probably sit here and tell you that we've been in the exact same position. I remember when I first started. Oh man, did I try to rush it? And I really had no understanding of what I was getting into. I thought I found the trick. I thought because my first few days I made hundreds of dollars, and coming out of the Army at a enlisted salary, those couple $100s a day was like, I found the golden ticket. I was like, Mom, Dad, quit your jobs. They're going to retire you in a couple months. Like, we're good. And then the harsh reality hits, and you're like, okay, I need to really step back and develop this skill set rather than trying to make money. It's like a doctor going into to pre-med and being like, yeah, let's take on some brain surgery and we'll get this done. Pay me now. It's not how things work. It's just not going to happen. Embrace the marathon. Learned that yesterday. Yes, sir, Bubs. Well, cool, folks. Anything else for me? I know I mentioned it's going to be a short lesson today, but hopefully it was, we had some sustenance to chew on, some food for thought, some stuff that we can move forward with, and I hope you guys do. But yeah, it looks like we don't have anything else today. So I just encourage you guys, like we already talked about, think about, this picture here. Let's put it one more time. How now you might be able to see both the young lady, and then you change your paradigm and you're able to see the old lady as well. So moving forward into your day-to-day activities, make those hard decisions, ask yourself those questions. How can I view this differently? Why is this person so black and white about this? Or why am I so black and white about this? Where can we gain understanding and find common ground? That's the stuff of life. So appreciate you guys tons. We're moving into Thanksgiving. It's a short week this week. We only have one more day as far as Eternal Exchange goes. Tomorrow. And then we'll be back on Monday, the following Monday, that is. So I really encourage you guys to, maybe you do have some past relationships that you're going to be able to open up your paradigm to moving into Thanksgiving. Say, I held on to a lot of grudges for this reason and that reason, but moving into that relationship and potentially starting a really difficult conversation with your heart on the line, seeking understanding above all else. And, I guarantee you'll make a little progress. If it's not in that relationship, it's going to be in your own life. You're going to be able to, forgive that person, not for them, but for yourself. And you're going to be able to move forward. And, that weight is light. You got a little more pop in your step. So appreciate you guys tons. Really, really do try to spend some quality time with friends and family. If you don't have anybody, I know sometimes holidays can be really, really hard for some people. This community is here for you. If you just want to jump on a phone call, I'd be happy to do so with you on Thanksgiving, whatever it might be. Reach out to any of the admins here or just the community. I'm sure some people are going to be there for you no matter what. So appreciate you guys a lot. And Tell your loved ones that you love them. Go do something hard today. Make those choices every single day and ask yourself why. All right, folks. You have a good one.